Good morning. It's Monday, July 5th. Hope you had a good 4th of July celebration with your family and friends. Today brings us to 1 Kings, and I'm reading at chapter 19, beginning at verse 9. Then Elijah came there to a cave and lodged there. And behold, the word of the Lord came to him, and he said to him, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" And he said, "I have been very zealous for the Lord, the God of hosts. For the sons of Israel have forsaken your covenant, torn down your altars, and killed your prophets with the sword. And I alone am left, and they seek my life to take it away." So he said, "Go forth and stand on the mountain before the Lord." And behold, the Lord was passing by, and a great and strong wind was rending the mountains and breaking in pieces the rocks before the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind. And after the wind, an earthquake. But the Lord was not in the earthquake. After the earthquake, a fire. But the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire, a sound of gentle blowing. When Elijah heard it, he wrapped his face in his mantle and went out and stood in the entrance of the cave. James says that Elijah was a man of a nature like ours. Hard to believe. I mean, after all, Elijah performed all those miracles, including raising a boy from the dead. He faced down 400 prophets of Baal all by himself. Well, of course, with the Lord. He called down fire from heaven that consumed the waterlogged sacrifice and even the rocks around it. James mentions that Elijah prayed for drought, and it didn't rain for 3 years. And then he prayed again, and it rained. James could very well have mentioned that Elijah was a man with emotions like ours too. Can you imagine the exhilaration of that mountaintop victory over Baal and the revival that it sparked? Little pun there. But what we see instead is that Elijah turned tail and ran when Jezebel threatened him. Here we find him depressed, sulking in a cave, wishing to die. Notice the Lord's compassion. It's as though the Lord knows that we are but dust. He feeds Elijah and lets him rest. And then he gently talks to him. "What are you doing here, Elijah?" And then he gives Elijah room to whine. "I've done everything right, and no one is with me. I'm all alone." And God replies not by scolding him or berating him for being depressed. Instead, he whispers. Yes, he could have wowed and overwhelmed Elijah with wind and earthquake and more of that divine fire. But that's not what Elijah needed at the moment. God whispers and reminds him that he is not alone and that he still has a role to play in God's plan. God knows that Elijah was a man with a nature like ours. Depression is not a sin. It's not a sign of spiritual weakness or unbelief. The Lord is not kicking you for being human. Whatever's going on in your emotions right now, may the Lord come to you in the way that you need him to. Whether that be wind or earthquake or fire or a still small voice. You are not alone.